My name is Lydia. I'm still haunted by the sight of my father collapsing into a chair, his face ashen as he read the deed my grandmother had hidden for 6 years. It was a moment that shattered the illusion of our family, revealing the greed and desperation that had been simmering beneath the surface. My grandmother, Mrs. Eleanor Reed, has always been the heart of our family. She lives in a charming old house on Elmwood Lane, a place that my grandfather, Mr. Henry Reed, built with his own hands in 1958. The house has a certain character, with uneven floors and a porch that sags just a bit. My grandmother always said it was like a person, with its own quirks and imperfections. I live just a short drive away, in a small apartment above a bookstore. I work as a paralegal at a local law firm, specializing in elder law. It's a job that I'm passionate about, but I never imagined that I'd have to use my knowledge to protect my own family. It all started at a Sunday dinner at my parents' house. My mother, Mrs. Victoria Reed, served a delicious roast chicken, but the atmosphere was tense. After we finished eating, my mother cleared her throat and said, "We've decided to sell your grandmother's house. It's time for her to move into a retirement home." I was shocked. "But she loves that house," I said. "She's lived there for almost 60 years. My father, Mr. David Reed, nodded. "It's for her own good," he said. "She's getting older, and it's becoming too much for her to take care of the house." I looked at my grandmother, who was sitting quietly at the table. Her eyes were downcast, and she didn't say a word. I knew that she was devastated, but she was too proud to show it. I tried to reason with my parents. "Have you even asked her what she wants?" I said. "Maybe she doesn't want to move." My mother sighed. "We've already looked into a few retirement homes," she said. "They're all very nice, and they have excellent care facilities." I could see that they were determined, so I didn't argue anymore. I knew that it was useless. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Over the next few weeks, my parents started making arrangements to sell the house. They hired a realtor, Mrs. Grace Thompson, and put a for sale sign in the front yard. My grandmother seemed to accept the situation, but I could tell that she was heartbroken. One day, I went to visit my grandmother at her house. She was sitting on the porch, sipping a cup of tea. I sat down next to her and put my arm around her. "I'm sorry about what's happening," I said. "I wish there was something I could do." My grandmother smiled. "It's okay, dear," she said. "I knew this day would come eventually. I just wish it didn't have to be so soon." I looked at her. "Do you really want to move?" I asked. My grandmother shook her head. "No," she said. "I love this house. It's full of memories. But I don't want to be a burden to your parents." I hugged her. "You're not a burden," I said. "We'll figure something out." That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about my grandmother and the house. I knew that there had to be a way to stop my parents from selling it. The next day, I went to work and did some research on life estates. I learned that a life estate is a legal arrangement where a person retains the right to live in a property for the rest of their life, while the ownership of the property is transferred to someone else. I realized that this could be the solution. If my grandmother had a life estate in the house, she could continue to live there for as long as she wanted, and my parents wouldn't be able to sell it without her permission. I went to see my grandmother and explained the concept of a life estate to her. She was interested, but she wasn't sure if it was the right thing to do. "I don't want to cause any trouble," she said. "Your parents are just trying to do what's best for me." I hugged her. "I know," I said. "But this is your home, and you have the right to stay here if you want. And besides, it's not going to cause any trouble. It's just a legal way to protect your interests." My grandmother thought about it for a while. "Okay," she said. "I'll do it." We went to see a lawyer, Mr. Robert Johnson, and he drew up the necessary documents. My grandmother signed the deed, and I became the remainder man. This meant that I would own the house after my grandmother passed away. A few weeks later, my parents found out about the life estate. They were furious. They couldn't believe that my grandmother had gone behind their backs and made this arrangement. My mother called me and yelled at me. "How could you do this?" she said. "You've ruined everything." I tried to explain to her that it was for my grandmother's benefit. "She loves that house," I said. "And she doesn't want to move. This is the only way to make sure that she can stay there for as long as she wants." My mother wasn't listening. "You're just being selfish," she said. "You don't care about your parents' feelings." I hung up the phone, feeling frustrated and angry. I couldn't believe that my parents were being so unreasonable. But my grandmother was happy. She knew that she could stay in her house for the rest of her life, and she was grateful to me for helping her. Over the next few months, my parents continued to try to convince my grandmother to move. They even threatened to take her to court, but my grandmother stood her ground. Finally, my parents gave up. They realized that they couldn't force my grandmother to do something that she didn't want to do. The for sale sign came down, and my grandmother's house was safe. She continued to live there, surrounded by the memories of her life with my grandfather. And I learned a valuable lesson. Sometimes, you have to stand up for what you believe in, even if it means going against your family. And sometimes, the quietest people are the ones who have the strongest voices.